In this episode, I think we found the man who the "My husband got an android pregnant" article was written about. And the androids, they're Maaachin. Thank you for coming back from our replay reviews. My name is Leah.
And my name is Kathy.
We are two friends who are here to replay, review, and analyze your favorite video games. And since Kathy has never seen the games before, it helps me view them through her fresh eyes, almost like I'm discovering them again for the first time.
We hope it'll be a similar experience for you.
So it's November 8th, 5:10 p.m. Kara, Luther, and Alice arrive at their destination, the home of a woman named Rose, who is known to help androids across the border into Canada. We first meet Adam, though, Rose's son, who is not as eager to help, but Rose does eventually invite them in.
How do we know we can trust Rose? And why is she helping androids cross the border? Like, what's in it for her?
Yeah, it's a big risk.
Wasn't there an article about Canada being android-free, or is it that androids are equal?
I think there's no laws. There's no android laws is the line I remember.
Okay.
But I don't know what that means. Like, if that means that they can just be free? After they're inside, they get Alice settled in for a nap, and she asks Kara why the humans hate them.
First of all, how has no one corrected her? Two, why does she think that she's an android? And three, why is Kara not addressing it? They're just... Why? When she says we, I'm assuming she's thinking herself as an android.
It could be that, or it could just be the fact that they have to be on the run, and she doesn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand perspective, because we know Todd was an ass, but not everybody knows that. So I feel like the public perspective is just this android murdered a man. So yeah, they're going to be not very fond of them. Alice says,
"Why can't we just talk to each other? They'd see we're not bad."
This is a question that I have for this entire game, and I think we'll discuss it more later, but especially I think it pertains to Connor's character. And then I have a note because Luther is so good with Alice, and he's just so nice. My note is, Luther's so great. That's the benchmark, fellas.
Yeah, honestly, especially to a woman with a daughter, even though it's not really Kara's daughter. But still, the fact that he's not weird around kids is a massive green flag.
Even if you don't want kids, it still is. And then, okay, here's what I don't understand. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot this episode. But back downstairs, Kara is talking to Rose, and she introduces herself as Kara. But then Rose immediately goes, "Have a seat, Kara." And like Luther calls her Kara. So many people call her Kara, but she introduces herself as Kara. And I don't understand why nobody in the game pronounces her name right, except for Alice.
And you can't even blame it on an accent thing either.
No.
This is like calling origami. Heavy Rain reference right there.
You're a origami killer. Oh, gosh. Okay. Rose informs Kara that the only way to Canada is across the river, which is now frozen, making it very risky. She suggests that they stay until things settle down after Marcus's speech caused a tizzy, but Kara is determined to get to Canada. They are interrupted by another deviant that beckons Rose to come see if she can help marry another deviant. And I guess she can't. Seems like Mary has pretty much shut down for good. Also, it's kind of rude that they vandalized Rose's wall. They like wrote "I'm alive" or RA9 all over it or something. I think it's a little bit rude.
How are they shutting down? Is it like from damage, or do they need to be recharged? Just how does that work? And couldn't Kara just like touch her hand and like rejuvenate her? I don't know.
I think it must just be that like some of the parts gave out were damaged because yeah. We haven't seen anything that says they need to be charged. But I agree. I feel like they needed to tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, Kara seems pretty freaked out though. And I'm wondering if it's because she's worried that the same might happen to her one day and she'll leave Alice behind.
I wondered if she was worried about Alice seeing that. Just seeing death, I guess, even though she's already
Again.
seen a murder right in front of her. I mean, it's not
Which
really murder, but, you know.
It's a valid point because Alice is there seeing this.
Yeah.
So back in the kitchen, Adam and Rose are arguing, and Adam is against Rose's whole mission of trying to save the androids. And Adam is, in Rose's eyes, out of line the way he just that and threatening to call the police, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is Adam just so against his mom helping them? And I know that there's danger and he probably doesn't want his mom to get in trouble.
I get his point, though. So Rose gets mad and says, they're not machines, they're alive. And his response is, I'm alive. And I feel like he really has a point there because this is his mother. Shouldn't he be top priority to his mother? And she is putting them both at risk, and he's scared. And so I feel like you should either stop or figure out a way to do it that doesn't also implicate your son.
Which is really valid because if anything happens to Rose, she's leaving Adam behind. So I totally understand where Adam's coming from. He could probably work on his delivery a bit, but still.
Yeah, I do think he gets a little over emotional and a little rude. But, yeah. So after this spat, Rose leaves to go try to set up a border crossing. As Kara, we wander around. She talks to Alice. She talks to Luther. And Luther says, Kara, there's something I need to tell you. It's about Alice. And she goes, not now, Luther. And walks away.
Which is annoying because her whole priority is Alice, yet the moment they need to have this conversation, she's like, not now.
I know. It's annoying. Poor Luther. Again, be like him. He's so patient.
Seriously.
Anything before the cop arrives?
No.
Sorry, I just noticed the baby with sunglasses on.
Oh, it's a... You can't see it, but it says it's a walker for babies. It's a Mustang. It's a pink Mustang little race car for the kid to sit in the walker and move around.
As a kid, I always wanted one of those Barbie Jeeps. Or even the knockoff, you know?
I had one. It was so much fun as a kid. I loved it.
My parents would never let me have one, which in hindsight, probably a good idea because my friend had one and I did run over her little brother. So
That's crazy.
And I'm not kidding. That's like the one thing where I'm like, my childhood is incomplete because I didn't have one of those. Oh, where were we? Oh, so
Police.
a cop soon arrives and rings the doorbell. Luther and Alice go hide upstairs while Adam and Carl let the cop in and act as if all is normal.
Adam's losing it though.
Oh, he's close to falling apart. It goes well. Minor suspicion when he sees the magazine cover, which I could not find. Eventually, he leaves. Rose returns and says, we leave tonight.
Yeah.
Crisis averted. Any other notes for you on scene 1?
What? Like that police scene, so unnecessary. That took so long. It could have been shortened. But also, that coffee machine, though, it's so pretty. I really like it.
And it's so fast.
Yeah.
Immediate coffee. I mean, mine's pretty quick, too, to be fair.
Its shape and everything. I think it would
It's
look really
cute.
good in your house, too.
It would. I like mine now because it's so slender. Doesn't take up any space. And plus
You
it was
freaking
free from...
stole it from me, though, from my white elephant.
I
It could have been mine.
Well, you
Stole
should have
it.
acted more excited because I was either had to steal from you or Morgan because you both had one. And Morgan seemed really excited, so it felt too bad to
What are
steal
you
from
talking
her.
about? I was excited.
I don't recall.
What?
I don't recall. Okay, moving on.
Okay. Good.
Scene 2,
Scene 2.
November 9th, 1:51 a.m. We're back to Jericho. North and Josh have an argument. Kathy, I don't know which writers were in charge of the Jericho characters, but the dialogue is so cringy. It just actually sounds like 2 AI bots having a discussion. It's so cliche. It's just so bad.
It's worse than ChatGPT. It's almost like the first stages of AI, but it also feels like a 7th grader writing the script.
It really, really does. And we won't get too far into it because I know later we're going to have a lot of comments. But Marcus walks in and he's like, hey, quit fighting. And his plan is to attack all 5 Detroit CyberLife stores, which 5 in one city? Goodness, they're doing quite well. And they're going to set the androids free. He says, no violence.
Well, they also make it sound like Simon's dead, which, okay, I get it's some foreshadowing, but unless you see the body, that's a quite big assumption. But we'll talk some more about that in a bit.
Oh, we will. Buddy found a walking stick.
Or he army crawled all the way back. Or he stole some...
He swam. He army crawled to the sewer and swam from there. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay. My next note is about when they're in the city.
Okay. So we get to the mission. We're with North and Marcus, and this starts the extreme distaste I have for North as a character.
Okay, I'm glad because I hate her at this point.
This has nothing to do with the actress. I think the actress does a great job with what she's given. I think she's given utter to be honest.
It is.
I really do. Because here's her line, right? Here's the first one in the line of hot cringe we're going to hear in this scene. I've been waiting a long time for this. Have you? Because I think it's been 4 days since we met you, if that.
And the thing is, this entire time, she has been hiding at Jericho. If it wasn't for Marcus, she would have continued to be hiding. So all of a sudden, she's pretending like she's excited for this. And then what's up with the outfit change?
I hope people agree with this. Anyway, moving on. They need to dismantle the police drone, which is, as we analyze it, we see that it's moving in a loop, right? So then when I'm pre-constructing a route for Marcus to dismantle the drone, one of the options doesn't work because it would be too late. But it's on a loop. So can he not just climb up there and just wait for it to come around again?
That's what I don't get. I saw that and I was like, just wait for it to come around.
Yeah, agreed. We find where the trucks are kept. And we find the security line in the CyberLife store, which he follows to an area where he can hack it. Also, why does he jump down like that? Let me find it for you. I'm going to play it slow, a little slow, so that you can see it better.
That's how you break your knees.
Why'd he do that? Anyway, we create an inner loop in the security feed. Oh my gosh. So then they go to get the truck, right? To then ram the store. It's just like every single one of her lines is a one-liner. Like there's no substance to her character, which I feel like is a missed opportunity. When they're trying to get the truck out, there's a lock on the door, and she hands him bolt cutters and says, I wonder what you'd do without me. All you did was pick up the bolt cutters. Relax.
Exactly. Calm down, woman. At this point, she's so loud and doing everything that they're doing, just yelling at Marcus, come here, when looking at like the construction workers. She's just annoying at this point. She talks like as if she's better than Marcus, which she's not, because without Marcus she wouldn't be where she is. And I just cannot stand that attitude coming from her.
But let's just get the rest of the hate out for her, hate for her out real quick. So here are some more of the lines that I despise. Looks like we're ready to make some noise. What are we waiting for? I knew we'd end up doing something fun. Who is coming up with this? This is why I feel like they're not really deviant. When they're deviant, they're just AI acting out a different code.
I feel like it's as cringy as some of the stuff you would see on TikTok during its earlier days. I feel like my niece could do a better job writing lines than this, and she's 9.
Yeah.
I don't want to hate on her, but you're making it awfully easy for me to hate on her.
I know. I'm so glad that you feel the same way because I thought you were gonna like not agree with me.
No, I was worried that you wouldn't agree with me because I'm like, because the previous episode wasn't that bad. So I said that, oh, cool. No, she has a crush on Marcus. But then immediately, like 180, I'm like, I don't like her. And I'm really glad you feel the same way because this is so bad.
Yeah. We'll talk about a little bit more as it progresses. But for now, we're in the CyberLife store, and Marcus gives a speech in which he considers himself to have been a slave. And I don't really understand this because, number one, he was a gift, so it's not like Carl bought him because he wanted him to be a servant. Number two, Carl treated him pretty well from what we see, and they had a father-son relationship. So I don't understand Marcus's perspective.
It feels wrong, but I feel like it's because of how he was treated from Carl's son. So it's because of the nastiness that Leah was demonstrating of what humans could do overshadowed all the good deeds that Carl did. And I think that's what's pushing Marcus to go to this extreme.
They succeed in busting out all the androids, and then they leave their peaceful mark on Capitol Park, but the police interrupt it and they run.
I'm wondering if Marcus is the only person who has that ability to free the androids, because we don't really see North doing the same thing, and I don't know if it's just because they decided it wasn't important enough, or if it's truly something that Marcus was able to overcome in his code and then be able to spread it to others.
Right. Because if others can do it, they're not. And that's really weird. And that almost paints Marcus as kind of like a dictator where he decides who's free and, you know, it's weird. And maybe they just don't show it. Maybe it's just something overlooked. But I think they make a lot of mistakes with Marcus's storyline in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus hears gunshots and runs to find some of the deviants have died, and others have taken the cops hostage. There's just 2 of them. Marcus decides to let them go and not execute them. But how hilarious would it be if the android that he gave the gun to just shot them anyway?
And how is he not telling the police to do better, that I'll let you live if you choose to not kill us anymore, or to resign, or to start speaking out for us? He just lets them go. And that's a massive risk that you're taking to put your faith in someone who's already killed others. And I'm annoyed at how North is just acting in this scene too. Like, she's offended that he isn't choosing the violent way, but also she's acting like she didn't know there's a risk of androids dying.
But also this moment, Marcus's line, it's more just crap. He goes, an eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind.
So cheesy.
It should have been something that Carl said to him, and now it's coming into play. Here's why I choose to be pacifist. Number 1, for the public opinion support. But number 2, because I don't understand where his hate would be coming from. As we've discussed, his relationship with Carl was pretty good. And yeah, he got shot when he shouldn't have. Leo was an ass. He got pushed around in the square area, but the game doesn't do enough to show us Marcus being angry. Like, they just want us to assume that he is, but this game needed to give another part to his story, and maybe it was cut, but they needed to give something else in those earlier chapters that showed him growing hateful towards the humans.
Agreed. I think that's something I didn't think about it, but it makes a lot of sense. Is there must have been either a massive plot hole of something that happened to break Marcus, or like equivalent of a Todd situation, except that was threatening Marcus and he had to choose between saving himself or saving Carl. I don't understand why he would be jumping immediately into violence when that's never really been his personality. I honestly think that the writers of this game was hoping that we, as the players, are angry people and we love violence and we would want to see violence. I don't think they were counting on us to be pacifist on this kind of situation.
Yeah. And this is where I also feel like, because obviously North is the one trying to push him to be violent. And I feel like her character would probably be a lot better if we do go that route. But I feel like the only influence we have for Marcus wanting to be violent is North, and we don't know anything about North. We should have seen Marcus originally with like a Todd kind of person, and then he ends up with Carl. And so he has the experience of the bad and the good. And then it's more of like, oh no, which one do I choose?
I was just going to kind of go over some even more cheesy quotes that Marcus was saying, and I just can't get over the one where he says, I choose to open my eyes and take back my freedom. And then, you could be your own master. Take your destiny in your own hands. I'm just cringing. It's so generic.
It's just painfully unoriginal. But by the end of the scene, we see more newscasts, and the public opinion has increased to supportive. Moving on to scene 3, November 9th, 11:17 a.m. Connor and Hank arrive at the home of Elijah Kamsky, the father of androids, to ask him about deviancy. Before they go in, Hank tells Connor that Chris, an officer he knows, was one of the ones that was held up by the deviants. He told Hank that Marcus himself let him go.
I'm curious what's going through his mind.
And I don't think I've ever seen a playthrough where the officer gets shot, because I'm curious how that would affect this scene. Like, how would that affect Hank's mood and Connor's mood and their dialogue?
We need to watch a playthrough for a summary of what happened if Marcus at that point chose violence.
And then, as they're walking to the door, Connor says, Kamsky left CyberLife 10 years ago. Why did you want to meet him? And Hank responds, this guy created the first android to pass the Turing test, and he's the founder of CyberLife. If anyone can tell us about deviance, it's him. One of Kamsky's androids, Chloe, lets them inside, and in the waiting room, I guess, Connor sees a picture of Kamsky and Amanda together. Turns out Amanda was a professor of AI, but she passed in 2027. What are your thoughts on Amanda now?
I think she faked her death. I think Amanda right now is hiding.
Okay. Intense.
I don't know if people know Amanda exists. Like, do we know for sure that Amanda's out in the public, or is her extent of being out there just with Connor?
I don't know. And I think this is kind of... Because I think before learning this, you could easily assume that they're meeting... Well, no, because we see that it's pretty much in his head that they're taking place, but there's nothing that's not saying, well, she could connect in from somewhere else, too.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we also learn that Kamsky was her student.
Kamsky is really full of himself. Like, who has a massive photo of themselves in their lobby?
Okay, so why do we have to wait so long for this guy when he's just stewing in his pool? And also, why is it red? What a horrible choice for a pool.
I was just about to say that. Man, those androids must be having serious periods in that pool.
Oh, God, take it back.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's no different than kids peeing in pools, in a way.
Do you think they do, though? Can they pee poo? Can they do any of that?
No, because I don't think they even use the bathroom in a non-pool situation. Okay, but Elijah is like, wait a minute, before I arrive. And he walks to one end of the pool, only to walk back to the other end of the pool. Like, what are you doing? And then the two androids in the pool are just like watching him. I'm just so confused.
Oh, and he must really like that model of android, because wouldn't you want some variety? Like, you got at least 3 of the same one. So they finally begin talking with Kamsky, and Hank asks if he can tell them something that they don't already know about deviancy. Kamsky goes on to talk about androids and describes them as perfect beings, but at 100%, I'm convinced that he says perfect beans. I'm gonna cut it in. Tell me that he doesn't say beans.
Perfect beans.
Beans.
He gives them the roundabout, but Connor is not having it. He says millions could die if confrontations continue, and says it's quite a serious matter. Kamsky then turns on Connor and says, what about you? Whose side are you on? He responds that he has no side, and Kamsky says, well, that's what you're programmed to say, but what do you really want? We see him pushing Connor here, and Connor gets kind of mad again and says, I don't know what you're getting at, and we see another spike in instability. And then this is where Kamsky goes on to mention the Turing test, but says, what really interests him is whether machines are capable of empathy. I call it the Kamsky test.
How arrogant is he to be naming that the Kamsky test?
I know. He doesn't seem like a very empathetic person, so I don't know why this is his test. He then proceeds to tell Connor that he will tell him everything he knows about deviancy if he shoots Chloe. Also, why does he just have a poolside gun?
Self-defense? I don't know. But he is such a creep. He's been in creep mode this entire time because when he has Chloe stand over, he's calling her a flower that never withers.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird,
creepy.
creepy dude.
He is creepy. I feel like he's just been waiting for this. He's like, finally, something entertaining. Hank is pissed at him, though. And I love his line. Sorry to get you out of your pool. So, about Kamsky in this moment. What is he doing? Like, is he just trying to push Connor to deviancy? Does he just want to be God? And he's trying to create new life with a soul, and that's what deviancy and the Kamsky test are proof of a soul?
That's what I don't understand about Kamsky. I don't know what side he really falls under, and I don't know what values he has, because I don't know if he wants there to be a war between androids and humans, and he wanted androids to become deviants, to have their own mind and think, and he'll see that as his greater success, or if he sees androids being deviant as a problem.
I feel like overall he just seems entertained, and he likes watching all the chaos. Connor decides to not shoot Chloe, which leads to a very large spike in software instability. And Kamsky's response to this is fascinating. Cyberlife's last chance to save humanity is itself a deviant.
What went through your mind when you decided to not shoot?
There's a couple things. So we have the one side of he wants to accomplish his mission, and that would equal shooting Chloe to get the information. But we also have Hank in the background who's saying, don't do it, Connor. Let's go. So from an android standpoint, he is receiving two conflicting orders again. Yes, in the past we've seen him prioritize orders for his mission over orders given to him by Hank, but his relationship with Hank has improved significantly since then. But then also back to Connor again, this is a tipping point for him. And I think he's gone too far at this point to shoot her. I think that would be an unrealistic step backwards for his character in terms of having this be narratively pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like the right thing is for him to not shoot her, but he's not happy about it.
And it falls more in line with what Connor has been doing, that he still feels regret from the way things happened during the blue-haired Tracy situation. And I think had you shot him, it would have been the equivalent of Marcus all of a sudden getting so much hate. Where is it coming from?
Connor's response, though, is, I'm not a deviant. And Kamsky says, you showed empathy. A war is coming. You'll have to choose your side. Remember that line. Because I have issues with that. So he and Hank turn to leave, and on their way out, Kamsky yells,
by the way, I always leave an emergency exit in my programs. You never know.
You never know what?
Right? You never know, they're going to fight against you, fight for you, self-destruct.
And then outside, Hank asks Connor why he didn't shoot. Visibly upset, Connor responds,
I just saw that girl's eyes, and I couldn't. That's all.
You're always saying you would do anything to accomplish your mission. That was our chance to learn something, and you let it go.
Yeah, I know what I should have done. I told you I couldn't. I'm sorry.
But then Hank ends it by saying, maybe you did the right thing.
I love Hank's protectiveness over Connor as we continue to watch them grow and develop their relationship. I like how he doesn't blame Connor, but allows for Connor to tap into his own feelings and not feel guilt, or if he is, to be able to process that without telling Connor how he should be feeling.
And I feel like Hank is starting to feel how I feel about Connor's character, which is like, he just can't win. He's in the middle of two sides that just are asking, both sides are asking a lot of him. Anything else for scene 3?
No. Let's do the fourth and final scene.
Oh, Kathy. I feel like I need to take a shot before we discuss this scene.
This is going to be an hour-long discussion.
Look. All right. November 9th. 12:04 p.m. So Marcus is clearly struggling with his duty of leadership, and North eventually joins him up where he's stewing. And it's like an area where it kind of overlooks the city, and we get another one, Kathy. We get another great line from North. She says, "It's like being alone with the world."
Ugh. And even before that, a freaking piano scene again. Like, where did this piano come from?
Yeah, why is it there, number one? But I thought it would be a nice little tribute to Carl. Because I'm like, Marcus, remember your guy Carl.
At this point, again, I'm going back to talk about how annoyed I am with her outfit. Why are they making her outfit like it's some kind of post-apocalyptic fashion that you see only in like early 2000s movies? Of like exposing half your shoulder. Because Marcus isn't doing that. Why her?
No, he's ready to run.
Right? And then you have outfits like North with the beanie and a shirt exposing the shoulder.
Yeah, why the beanie? If it's cold enough to need a beanie, you don't want your shoulders out.
Exactly.
The outfit does. Maybe that's why we don't like it. It just does not make temperature sense to us. Is she the new Madison?
Close.
It's close. Oh no.
So the next thing they're doing after cringy lines is they do like a palm to palm thing between North and Marcus, which
tender moment.
Also is very cringy. And
It
then
is.
it talks about her background, that she pretty much is sexually assaulted. But I feel like there's other opportunities for her to show her hate against humans.
I've mentioned it a couple times about me feeling like, are deviants actually, do they actually have free will, or are they just, is this just another AI program about, this is what you do when you want to be free, right? This is what you do when you want to be human. Because her situation is literally what happened at the Eden Club with Connor and Hank, but just with different androids. So, is there something in the code? You know what I'm saying? It's a repeat of the exact same. She strangled him too. To me, this is evidence of code.
Maybe that's the emergency exit plan, that when things get tough for androids, every single situation there is going to be the emergency exit to prevent it from getting bad. If you're sexually assaulted, your code is to then strangle them.
Yeah.
And if you get abused, your code is to stab them or like beat them up, similar to what we've seen. Maybe those are the emergency exits for the androids to be able to leave a crappy situation.
Right, because like for Carlos Ortiz's android, physical assault, what does he know is on scene? A knife. He uses the knife. If the knife's not there, but in Car's situation, a gun is there, what do you use? You use the gun. So it still feels like it's code, it's AI, just reacting to the environment. Are they really free? I think this is a summary question.
Back to talking about North's background, I feel like if we wanted to demonstrate her hate for humans, it didn't have to be her being sexually assaulted or her being a pleasure android. And is it only because she's a female that that's her storyline? Because, come on, let's do better as writers in writing female characters.
Well, and if it isn't a hint that, oh, this is part of, like, they're not really free, this is a repeat incident, well, then it's just lazy writing, because it's literally the exact same incident. Yeah. And also, why does that mean that you hate all humans? one person assaulted you. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't suck, but one bird pooped on my shoulder. I don't hate every bird.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from?
Did the bird actually poop on you?
It's never happened to me before.
I was thinking you were speaking from personal experience of a bird actually pooping on you.
That was just the example that came to my mind. We drank earlier. Were you done?
Anyways. Yeah. My next note is Simon.
Simon. Okay, so let's review the history of Simon. The news station incident. Simon gets shot and can't use his legs. They say, well, you're staying here or we're killing you. Simon is left behind. And so the whole thing is like he can't use his legs. That's the whole pinnacle of, oh no, do we spare him or do we kill him? But then this guy shows up walking on legs in Jericho. How? What happened?
And the thing is, he doesn't blame anyone for not saving him and isn't annoyed by the fact that North wanted to kill him.
And then I pointed the gun at him. And I decided not to. I don't understand Simon.
Simon just threw me for a loop.
Sometime later, we're in the city and we're walking around. It sounds like we're planning something big, right? But then in the background, you can hear this woman saying, why? So you can stare at my fucking Android all night?
Like, I feel like they should have hired you as the voice actress for that.
Like her guy just wants to do the Android. It's just such a hilarious background line. The gang heads into the city to march. I'm glad that you had a similar reaction to me, because I had in my notes, please tell me I'm not the only one that finds this cringy.
The music is making things worse.
Yes.
When they're marching, all of a sudden Marcus gets to start converting people telepathically. Like, what was the whole point of him touching other androids if you could do it from afar?
I know! Is he just evolving? Like, why does he not send that signal out across the city, across the nation? What are you doing? But they're not marching. They're Maaachin. This cop cracks me up. He's like the first one on the scene. And he goes,
I got a lot of androids down here.
and then he goes,
They're marching.
Maaachin?
I cannot. But then the march is interrupted when the police arrive. I guess he didn't get a permit. So. But they tell them to disperse or they will open fire. Is that stupid Gavin?
Was it? Hold on, let me look.
Go look.
It is. Stupid face.
So he gives them another warning.
Wait. I gotta take a step back. When they're Maaachin, didn't they like raise their fist in the air or their arms in the air?
Yeah.
Was it before or after this part? I continue to just cringe at this entire march scene. Every little thing about it. I can't name anything good coming out of the scene.
I think perhaps the ultimate moment of cringe is when he says, are you really going to fire on unarmed protesters? You are pulling that from the internet. You have to be. You just have to. You didn't learn this on your own. I don't believe it.
It's worse because it happened before the George Floyd protests, and I feel insulted in a way.
I played this game like right after that stuff happened, and I was like so uncomfortable. I was like, do I keep going? This just feels
Disrespectful.
Yeah, disrespectful. The timing isn't their fault, but I think it's just paired with how unoriginal the dialogue feels that just makes it feel disrespectful and horribly, horribly cringy and uncomfortable.
I almost wanted to throw up from how uncomfortable this entire scene made me.
I hide in my shirt like this when I see this scene. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Gavin gives them another warning. North, of course, wants to attack them. But no. Gavin gives them a third warning. At this point, Marcus decides they're going to stand their ground. And then a round of gunfire goes off, killing some deviants. But public opinion goes up. After that round of shots, Gavin gives them one last chance. And Marcus decides, maybe it's time to disperse now. But it seems Gavin may have gotten another order, and they shoot at them anyway. But I think that this is the best outcome for public opinion, which is what I was going for. But Jericho takes a big dip in that relationship.
Yeah, definitely, because you choose to bring your people to danger only to last minute become a coward and back off. So I kind of want to see what happens if he stayed, like if Marcus dies or anything.
My goal was keep as many of them alive while getting the most public opinion. And I felt like running in fear while being mowed down by gunfire. It's a pretty good way to get sympathy. It sounds so bad. But it's true. I'm so glad that's over.
I'm glad we're done talking about it. So I think I have a new theory for this game so far. With all the talks about the World War III breaking out with the Arctic War or whatever they're calling it, maybe that's just a parallel with the war that's brewing between humans and androids. I'm wondering if we continue to read magazines about it, and then we continue to watch the situation between androids and humans. Are they going to be having two wars happening at the same time?
Yeah, this is a game. I've played it 3 times. I've seen it. Other people play it like once or twice. But I don't know it that well. This is not an Outlast. I don't know this game to the extent that I know other games that we've played. So I'm still doing a lot of speculating as well. So I'm excited to see where we land, because this is the first time that I've really considered, are they actually living in free will? Because I'm starting to doubt it. I feel like someone else has a plan here.
What if CyberLife's goal was to actually take over the world by pushing androids out, mass market them, knowing that at some point they're going to become deviants and then they'll have their own will when it's still somewhat under CyberLife's control? They just don't realize that because they are still operating under a code. What if CyberLife wants to take over the world?
And CyberLife will have, at this point, painted themselves as the only ones you can trust to control the androids. Anything else on part 4, or should we close it out?
I think we should close it out. If we keep
right.
talking, I'm just going to talk about how cringy this scene is. So
We'll tackle the final part of gameplay next week. We'll see how it ends.
with that, Audacity on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to send in any questions, comments, or game suggestions. You can find all our contact info on our website, replayreviewspod.com, or contact us directly through our site.
Did we completely miss something? Are we way off the mark? Or you just want us to take a deeper look at anything from the game? We'll tackle any topics you all want to hear in our season wrap-up episode.
We also have a Reddit where we discuss anything we're curious about. Go take a look and let us know what you're thinking. Our theme music is Condemned by Eggy Toast. They'll play you out, and we'll be back next week.